Hi, and welcome to the Cruz and Kale Reading Nook. I'm Cruz.
I'm Kale.
And today we'll be reading Chapter 11 of The Poet's Dog, which is called The Past and the Present. The party food was chocolate frosted cookies. Hard as stone, but tasty. Flora dribbled frosting on my kibbles. I didn't tell her chocolate was not good for dogs. I lifted the door lever and went outside. Nickel had shoveled every day, so that I walked out on a snow path to look at all the white. Suddenly I saw a faraway figure, dressed in red, skiing through the woods. The figure came closer and closer, coming out of the woods into the clearing toward the house. I knew who it was. "Teddy," called Ellie. I couldn't believe how happy I was to see her. I wagged my tail and jumped on her as she stopped. She laughed and patted me as she took off her skis, falling down in the snow to hug me. "Teddy," she said out of breath, "I was worried about you in the storm." "Did you ski all the way from home?" "Yes, it was the only way to get to you. My car is buried, and the snow and ice on the roads aren't cleared." "I know." She looked at the chimney of the cabin. "There's smoke from a fire." I got up and we walked to the cabin door. "I didn't build it," I said to Ellie. "You'd better come in." Ellie leaned her skis against the house. We opened the door. Inside the warm cabin, Nickel and Flora turned from the fireplace. Nickel's eyes widened when he saw another human with me. "This is Ellie," I said happily. "This is Ellie." Nickel and Flora loved Ellie right away. Ellie loved the hard cookies with the chocolate frosting. She ate 3 of them, sitting in front of the fire with her hand on my neck. "I heard on the radio that you 2 were saved by a family with 6 children," said Ellie. "You left a note on the front seat of your mother's car." We looked at Flora. Flora actually blushed. I think she's doing that because she didn't say that she wrote a note about her being saved by a family with 6 children. "I forgot that part of the note," she said. "I added a bit." Ellie laughed. "It worked. Your parents were not worried about you. Probably tomorrow or the day after, the roads will begin to be cleared. Maybe all the power will be back on." She paused. "I'm glad that you came here," she said to Nickel and Flora. "We're glad Teddy saved us," said Nickel. "I learned how to save you," I said. "From Sylvan," said Flora, nodding. "Teddy told us about Sylvan." All of a sudden, Ellie sat up straight, a strange look on her face. "I just realized something amazing and wonderful." "What?" asked Nickel. Ellie took a deep breath. "You and Flora hear Teddy's wise words," she said. She took my face in her hands. "They do," she whispered, "what Sylvan wished for." "They do. You do," I said. "A bit like the past and the present coming together, don't you think?" Ellie grinned. "I do think," she said, nodding. Well, that was the end of Chapter 11, and we'll be back for Chapter 12, which is called Promises. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, and welcome to the Cruz and Kale Reading Nook. I'm Cruz.
I'm Kale.
And today we'll be reading Chapter 12 of The Poet's Dog, which is called Promises. Ellie made her way home again after lunch, carrying the telephone number of Nickel and Flora's parents. "Their names are Ruby and Jake," she said, Nickel. "It's probably best to tell them you were here when Teddy found us. They might not understand us being saved by an Irish wolfhound." "I'll tell them you're fine and give them directions to this house," said Ellie. "And I am here. They could surprise you, of course. They might be so happy to see you both that they won't care who found you. If it were me," and this is not me, it's just a pretend story, but if it were me, I think I would care who found them.
Why did their mom desert them?
I think she said she was going to get help. Maybe she got lost in the snowstorm.
But she's home. Oh, maybe she was trying to help them while she was home.
Yeah, since I'm not sure who else knows about this cabin. I don't...
Ellie?
Oh, yeah. "I don't remember them ever surprising me," said Flora. "Except when they tried to dance, don't forget," said Nickel. Flora nodded. "They are not very good at dancing," she said thoughtfully. Outside, Ellie put on her skis again. She kissed us all and went off, a red spot against the white. In my opinion, I think Ellie likes red. Since she's wearing red, she has a little red car.
And I think she's devoted to Teddy.
Yeah. She does take care of him now. I'll take you all for a ride, my little red car, she called back to us, waving. Thank you, called Flora. We watched her ski off, slowly disappearing into the woods and out of sight. She'll be back, said Nickel, watching me. She will, I said. She's Ellie. Nickel rolled a snowball in his hands and tossed it into the air. I leaped up and caught it in my mouth. It had no taste. That night we ate a very good stew warmed on the grate of the fireplace. What's in this? I asked. Never mind, said Flora. That means you don't want to know, Nickel said. I think I do want to know.
Hope it didn't taste tangy.
Yeah. I nodded and kept eating. I wasn't sure Ellie was real, said Nickel as he ate. That's funny.
What was real?
He said he wasn't sure Ellie was real. I knew that, I said. I don't mind going home so much now that I've met Ellie, said Flora. But I'll miss you, Teddy, she added. My throat felt tight. Just remember the red car, I said finally. You promise a visit? She said. I promise, I promise, I said. Flora and Nickel laughed. I knew they would. I knew they believed me. And we slept for the last time together, in a heap, in front of the fireplace, in the quiet cabin. Well, that is the end of chapter 12. Soon we'll be moving on to chapter 13, which is called A Jewel or Two. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, and welcome to the Cruz and Kale Reading Nook. I'm Cruz.
I'm Kale.
And today we'll be reading chapter 13, the last chapter of The Post Dog, and it's called A Jewel or Two. It happened before we thought it would. The knock at the door, Nickel opening the door, a man I knew must be his father sweeping Nickel up in his arms, Nickel crying. I'd never seen Nickel cry until now. Only the tear streaks on his face the day I found him in the storm. Flora stood by the fireplace, watching. I went to stand next to her, and she put her hand on my neck the way I love. Nickel's father looked over at Flora then. He came into the house, closing the door behind him. Thank you for your note, Flora, he said, coming over to take her hand. I don't think he even noticed me beside her. He picked her up and hugged her. She put her arms around his neck. I liked the smell of him. Ellie told me that she had been here with you, her father said. Flora leaned back, and her father put her down. This is Teddy, she said. He found us. He saved us and brought us here, not the family with 6 children. I made them up so you wouldn't worry. Her father stared at me for a moment. Hello, Teddy. I'm Jake, he said. Hello, Jake, I said. Jake shook his head a bit, looking confused. He doesn't hear your words, whispered Flora very softly. I know. I'm used to answering questions whether people hear me or not. But he hears something. Jake looked over my head at the bookshelf. Wait, he said. Who lives here? Was this Sylvan's house? I see his pictures on the wall. I see his books on the shelf. We were surprised. Yes, said Nickel. Sylvan lived here with Teddy. He rescued Teddy the way Teddy rescued us. Jake sat down. You're the Teddy of his poem, He, the Poet's Dog, he said softly. Yes, I said. Jake bent his head as if listening to something far away. Flora smiled a little. He was my teacher, said Jake, and he sent me the poem. Jake grinned. Sylvan told me once that I could be a poet if I wasn't so lazy. Nickel laughed. Flora went over to her father. I'm not going home without Teddy, she said. There was a big silence in the cabin. I felt the hair on my neck stand up a bit. Finally, Jake shrugged his shoulders. You're right, Flora Jewel. Teddy saved you if he'd come home with us. He doesn't have Sylvan now, he added. Jewel? Flora noticed my startled look. It's my middle name, she whispered. Sally. My mother is Ruby. Not Sally. Not Sally at all. By the way, I think that was Teddy's thought. Will you come home with us, Teddy? Asked Flora. I thought of leaving my cabin. How could I do that? Flora saw my face. Flora always seemed to know what I was thinking. Ellie can bring you back here for visits, whenever you want. Yes, he will come home, Nichols said. Jake stroked my head. Yes, he will come home with us, he said. Flora Jewel. Again, I think that was Teddy's thought. We put out the fire and closed the cabin door. We walked up the hill where Jake's big car was parked. I don't remember ever being in a car before. Surely Sylvan brought me home from the shelter in someone's car. That was when I didn't have words. Nickel leaned over to close me in the back seat. I think he almost hears you speak, he whispered. He isn't a poet, but he wouldn't mind being one. He teaches literature. You can hear me. And that's what really matters, I said. And you never told me he teaches literature. You didn't ask me, Nickel said. Jake called Ruby on his cell phone on our ride home. Ruby, I have Flora and Nickel. We're on our way home. They were rescued by a wonderful dog. Teddy took them to his home and cared for them. Ruby, Teddy's coming home with us too. There was silence as Jake listened. He looked at us in the rearview mirror and smiled. Ruby says, great. And we rode home on snowy roads, past snow-covered meadows and ponds and trees. The whole way there, we were the only car. The only car in the world. I don't think he actually means the only car in the world.
It's just an expression.
Yes. When we got to the big white house on the hill and got out of the car, the front door opened, and Ruby ran into the cold without her coat. Flora and Nickel ran up the hill to hug her. And then she saw me. She burst into tears, reminding me of Flora. An Irish wolfhound. You didn't tell me it was an Irish wolfhound. I grew up with one all of my childhood. She put her hand on my neck and knelt down with her face next to mine like Flora did when I first took her into the cabin in the snowstorm. Jewel was the best dog in the world, and you look just like her. Jewel. Ruby put her hand on my neck. Welcome home, Teddy, she said. Find a jewel or two, Sylvan had said. Trust me. And as we walked up the hill, I felt Sylvan was walking alongside of me. Flora was right. Sylvan had never left at all. The end of the poet's talk. Well, we'll see. Oh no, wrong author. This is Patricia Maclachlan.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Edith Nesbit wrote a different book. So, yes, we'll come back and record a different book next time. See you later. Bye.
Bye.